Hey there, my friends. I want to share with you today, I want to get right to the point and tell you 3 quick reasons why pelvic health and digestion are intimately connected. And after I share those 3 reasons, I want to actually get kind of personal, and I'm going to splice in a video that I did with the founder of Gutly, which is a new, it's a young company that does some really cool things with stool testing to discover what's going on, to provide kind of a snapshot of what's going on with your gut microbiome. Daron, the founder of Gutly, is going to be going over my personal test results, and also we're going to be talking a little bit about the liquid probiotic that Gutly offers that I really love. It's one that I personally use. I rotate it with another probiotic that I use. I think it's important to rotate probiotics to get a variety of good, healthy bacteria into your body, especially if you have gut health issues. Talk to your doctor about this. If you have any questions or concerns, please understand this is not medical advice, but I just want to share with you again the 3 reasons why gut health and digestion is intimately tied with pelvic health. Also, my personal story and my personal stuff that's going on, and a little bit about a probiotic that you might want to try. But first, let's go ahead and get into 3 reasons, top 3 reasons why digestion and pelvic health are intimately connected. The first one is an issue that a lot of people deal with. I have dealt with it my entire life, and many people don't even realize they're dealing with this, and it's constipation. So if you're not going to the bathroom, and by that I mean number 2, pooping every single day. Ultimately, it may even happen twice a day, but I'm just happy if I get once a day. If you're not doing that, then actually your body is not keeping up with the natural detoxification processes that it really needs to do. So some people think that going number 2, going poop, just 2 to 3 times a week is normal, but actually that's not the case. We want to be going to the bathroom every day to work with our body's natural detoxification processes, to clean everything out, and I'll get more into that later. But just suffice it to say that if you are not going to the bathroom that often, stuff can build up in your colon and your digestive tract that puts a lot of pressure on your pelvic organs. If you're getting really full in there and not eliminating regularly, everything builds up. And that, again, that downward pressure can cause issues such as contributing to pelvic organ prolapse, contributing to pressure on the bladder that can make you feel like you have to go to the bathroom all the time, contributing to, even just kind of a bloated look and a feel because you have all of that waste building up and producing gas and bloating. So that is a big problem we want to be eliminating regularly, and we want to be not straining. Every time we get kind of constipated and stopped up and we have to strain to get everything out, that leads to more pressure on our pelvic organs and pelvic floor. It leads to more risk of developing issues such as pelvic organ prolapse. The other risk it offers is hemorrhoids, and hemorrhoids are no fun for anyone. Believe me, I've had them. So uncomfortable. So we don't want constipation and we don't want to strain. That's really the first and foremost, in my mind, reason why digestion is really, really tied to pelvic health. The next reason I want to talk about is inflammation. Inflammation and also immunity. So when you have a healthy gut, you have less inflammation in that area and you have a stronger, more robust immune system. A huge portion of your mood-making neurotransmitters, your happy neurotransmitters, are made in your gut. So it's important, gut health is important for mood, but also your immune system. A huge portion of your immune system is housed in your gut. If you're always getting sick, and your immune health is compromised because your gut health is compromised, you're gonna have more risk on your pelvic floor because you're gonna have more sneezing and coughing and blowing your nose and more just bad days where you don't feel well and you don't feel like you can exercise, you don't feel like you have the energy to work out or, focus on your own self-care. So we want a strong immune system. We want a decreased level of inflammation in our gut for comfort, for less pain. The inflammation in your gut can actually contribute to pain in different areas in your back, in your bladder even. So really important to focus on inflammation, healthy levels of inflammation, supporting that. And one way to do that is to make sure your gut microbiome is really happy and at optimal levels. We have a good amount of good bacteria, and it's not all sort of the bad bacteria and the yeasts and the funguses and all that that can actually overpopulate and cause our good bacteria levels to go down. So we want that proper balance. The third reason why gut health and digestion is tied to pelvic health has to do with our hormones. So this is really where I want to talk about the detoxification and getting a nice, smooth system of elimination going so that we are taking in food, we're processing it, we're assimilating it, we're absorbing it, and then we are eliminating it smoothly. This taking in of food and also environmental toxins, which unfortunately are all around us, this all happens. We take in all sorts of things, from the food we eat to the liquids we drink to the air that we breathe in and the stuff we put on our skin. It all processes through our body, through our liver, and ultimately ends up going through our elimination pathways, our urine and our poop. And so we want everything in our digestive system to be running smoothly so that we can eliminate the toxins that we take into our body, just unfortunately due to modern life. Proper elimination helps keep our hormones balanced. When we have improper elimination, our hormone levels can change in a bad way. If you've heard of estrogen dominance, a lot of this happens these days, and it's becoming more common in part because we're not detoxifying properly, and too much of the bad estrogens that get into our body from chemicals that are in our environment and that kind of thing, they're estrogens from the outside world. They build up in our body because we're not able to detoxify and eliminate them thoroughly. Hormonal imbalance can lead to all sorts of issues, but some of them can even cause pelvic area concerns, can cause issues with discomfort, painful periods, even looseness and laxity in the connective tissues and even in our skin. There's so much that changing levels of hormones can cause. And so we want to really work with our body and help our body age as gracefully as possible and not contribute to rapid early aging and hormone imbalance that's not necessary to happen so darn young. So those are the top 3 reasons. Again, prevents constipation and straining. That's important for prolapse and hemorrhoids and all sorts of things. Also pressure on the bladder. Decreases inflammation and helps detoxification. So those are the 3 reasons. Now let's go ahead and get to a snapshot of what's going on in my microbiome with Daron of Gutly. He's going to walk me through just clips of our little consultation, and then he's going to tell us about Gutly's new liquid probiotic. Links are in the video notes. Thanks so much, and keep watching. All right, you guys, I have Daron with me right now, and he's going to help me go over my gut health testing reports up. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here is my gut health report, and I was hoping that you could just help me kind of go through this and understand it a little bit better. It's so easily, it's so well laid out. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. The best way to actually go through everything is just to click on the step-by-step walkthrough. It's the first icon there with the light bulb.
Okay.
So this is the best and kind of easiest way to understand the different sections of the report. So the first section that you see here with this pie chart is about the balance of your gut flora. Now, the pie chart is kind of the easiest way to see if your gut flora is in balance. It's just one of the ways. But every color in this pie chart represents the level of a different bacteria that we detected in your gut. Now, your flora was actually pretty balanced, compared to most people. So that was actually, a great indication. So we're not seeing, so typically, if someone has an imbalance, it might also show up in these levels. So sometimes people will have 40% or 50% of a single bacteria. But in your case, everything does seem to be evenly distributed. But in the next section, we'll actually go over some of the more specific bacteria. So the first one there, the Faecilibacterium. So that, according to the research, has these anti-inflammatory properties. So in the research, it's supposed to be around 5%. But through our testing of hundreds of people, we've kind of seen that it's quite common for this bacteria to be higher than that.
Okay.
And when it gets higher, it's actually more associated with inflammatory conditions. So things like joint pain, inflammation, but we've seen it as high as 25, even above 30% of some samples. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if it's really low, it can be more associated with like irritable bowel syndrome or IBD or different conditions as well. So on both ends of the spectrum, it's associated with inflammatory markers.
Okay,
Uh,
that makes sense. That makes sense. So you want to be in that target range. I see.
exactly. And it's like anti-inflammatory. So if you have too much, it could be a sign that there's inflammation. But if you have too little, you don't have enough of that anti-inflammatory protection.
Looking through this then, the ones that I need to increase, because I think that I didn't have any that need to decrease. I think I had,
Yes.
yeah, I don't, it looks like I don't have any bacteria that I need to decrease. I just have good levels ones, and then I have ones I need to increase.
Yes. So like maybe the most important or most interesting one of this section is the lactobacillus.
Uh-huh.
So that bacteria is in pretty much all the major probiotics you'll find at the store.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when people take probiotics, it doesn't actually necessarily show up in their gut and live and thrive in there because they're maybe not supporting it with the right ecosystem of foods and things like that.
Okay.
So lactobacillus is that main bacteria in the probiotic. So we actually detect that in the sample. So that one was at a little bit of a lower range, and the foods and the combination of the probiotics we'll have will actually hopefully increase that level. For this section, the way we measure the fiber levels, because as you mentioned, your fiber intake was high.
Yeah, that's why I was confused about that. I thought, oh my gosh, you're eating too little fiber. That can't be right. I eat so
Right,
much fiber. So yeah.
right. Yes, the way we do this section is we're actually looking at the bacteria that feed on the fiber, but in particular produce these short chain fatty acids, if you've heard of those,
Yeah.
which are actually food for the gut lining. So we're looking at the levels of all those bacteria, and we kind of compare that across our data, and then we rank to see how much of them you have. So according to that measurement, you had low amounts of some of those bacteria that produce a handful of those short chain fatty acids.
Interesting.
So
Why do you think that would be?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I'm not sure. But what's in is related to the leaky gut question.
Yeah.
Your gut lining, the food for the cells lining your gut are actually mostly short chain fatty acids. So that's one of the ways you can support your gut lining is by helping feed those good bacteria that produce those chemicals for you naturally.
Okay.
And so that will we can go over in the food section as well.
So that I
But
can select my diet. Yeah.
you can just click on the different food ratings for your A plus foods are the foods you should be increasing. At the opposite end of the spectrum, your F foods will either increase the level of bacteria you're too high in, or will decrease the level of bacteria you're too low in.
So it's so
Um,
interesting. I notice a lot of these. This is the full list for me. I'm noticing that there's some fats here. So like avocados and coconut oil. These are things I eat a lot of.
so what's interesting is actually if you go and you click right next to the coconut oil on the little light bulb icon,
Hmm.
you'll see some of the different associations. So we added that as well.
Wow.
When you suggested it. So,
That's
um,
incredible. You guys have done so much. This is amazing. And it's all based on research, like across studies of research reports that you've
exactly.
collected all this data. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, for instance, the reason we're kind of recommending to reduce your amount of coconut oil is because it's primarily increasing your levels of bacteroids and decreasing your this other bacteria, Bifidobacterium, which is also kind of one of those probiotic bacteria.
Okay.
Um, so the bacteroids, it was in normal range, but it was still like you kind of saw a little bit on the high side. So
Hmm.
we're trying to reduce that level.
Okay.
Um, so these foods in particular will help to if by reducing their frequency, you'll help to balance out according to what we see on your bacteria levels.
Wow. And I love it. I love it that you already have filtered out foods that wouldn't work with me anyway, since I selected that I'm gluten intolerant and casein intolerant. That's so helpful.
Yes.
I love that.
And then now what we've done is, because we found it to be helpful to kind of go over the report and answer any questions, we include a complimentary session where we'll do just this. So we'll go over someone's results and answer any questions they have. Just whatever questions they have, whatever they want to know about their gut health, we'll help them answer it.
Wow, that is so cool. So I guess to wrap it up, I'm going to just study those foods that I'm going to just make a list of the most likely suspects on my F list that I should maybe just try to cut out for a while. And then the foods on my A+ list and B and, whatever, like the good foods. And I'm just going to kind of do a list of the good ones and then the bad ones. And I'm not going to go crazy about it. But I think I will incorporate this just like I have been incorporating the probiotic. And I wanted you, please, if you would, to explain a little more about this probiotic because I have been seeing amazing results with my digestion using this liquid probiotic. I can't really explain it as well as you can. And so I would love for you to share kind of how it's different and a little more.
Absolutely. First, I'm super happy to hear that it's working really well with your body. That's fantastic. The reason why we really stand behind it is because it's 100% plant and soil based. So it's actually grown on a USDA organic certified farm, and it's used. So everything used inside in the process is grown on the farm. So the plants, the soil, and they're put in these digester machines to actually create the fermentation process, but they're running year round. So it's a 100% natural process that just uses plants, soil, and water, and it's continuous. So it's not a standard industrial process where it's manufactured and it's actually kind of brewed. Of course, everything though is tested and for lead, and it's a regular farm, so they have actually standards of testing and procedures like that. But in particular, what makes it really good for your gut is a combination of things. So first, the plant and soil bacteria help to protect your gut lining. So they help to protect the leaky gut because of the chemicals that they produce naturally that are good for your gut. So those short-chain fatty acids.
I was going to say, and I just think this all flows together so nicely because the test results indicated that, again, back to me, that I still maybe have some issues with those, the gut lining a bit. But it doesn't surprise me because when I went in last December, so gosh, almost a year ago now, I was diagnosed with significant issues with my gut lining. So it's not surprising to me that this is still a problem. And then it's not surprising to me that for my body, this probiotic is working really, really well because it is specifically kind of working on that area.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the gut lining is so important, and it really is an issue that affects so many people. Through a combination of food, stress has a big impact on the gut lining. There's so many factors that can increase that permeability and lead to things like inflammation. And the last thing about the probiotic, which also is good in addition to the bacteria, is that it's a liquid, but the liquid inside isn't just water. It's actually packed with all the enzymes produced as a result of the bacteria eating the plants and soil. And those enzymes are really, really beneficial, not only to heal the gut lining, but also to reduce the kinds of negative bacteria that might be too prevalent. So they're very powerful enzymes. So the combination of the two with dietary changes and lifestyle changes can really help improve the gut.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And it does not need to be refrigerated. And you can take it in different types of liquids or just squirt it in your mouth, which is actually what I usually do. I do
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Yeah, you just squirt up the dropper and it goes up to half a dropper full. And the adult dose is to do that 4 times in your mouth or in the liquid. And it just tastes like water. It doesn't have a flavor at all.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about it, I think, because I like to just do it straight.
Yeah.
But some people, say, oh, I like to put in hot tea in the morning with my lemon, kind of put it as part of that ritual. But it really just, whatever works. It's very versatile.
And you were saying that it would do really well actually combined in like a smoothie or something with, food in it to help kind of bring everything down. Do I remember that right? That you'd mentioned that to me before?
Yes, absolutely. Because they're plant and soil-based bacteria, they really thrive on diets rich in fiber and so vegetables and fruit. So we like to say that if you take it as part of a smoothie, you're kind of coating it in the food they need to survive. And so, the combination of the two really helps to repair the gut.
Awesome. Yeah. And then do you have an actual bacteria count, like a number on the label? I don't think you do at the time that we're speaking. What's the
Yes.
story behind that?
So yeah, it's very interesting. So typically, in the traditional manufacturing process, you'll hear like it's all the rage now. So it's 50 billion CFUs or 60 billion.
Yeah.
The CFU stands for colony forming units, but it's basically a measure of how many bacterial life forms are there. Now ours is actually just in the tens of millions.
Okay.
But we don't actually need 50 billion, 60 billion CFUs for the probiotic to be effective. The question at the end of the day is how many of those bacteria are surviving the passage through your digestive tract and actually living inside? Because you don't need 50 billion of the one bacteria. The important thing is if they live inside. Now, the reason we don't need billions of CFUs, there's a few big ones. So number one is the way it's grown. So it's a completely natural process. So these bacteria are already living and surviving out in the wild. And then when they're taken into the fermentation process, they're kind of expanded. So they're more hardy than, let's say, they're exposed to sun, wind, they're meant to be consumed.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is the form that the bacteria is in. So they can kind of go into like a sleepy form where they're actually more robust. So that's the very reason it doesn't need to be refrigerated. Okay. And because they're in that form, they're more durable so they can survive the passage as well through the digestive tract.
Okay, perfect. And are these the type of bacteria that just kind of probiotics that just kind of pass on through, or do they actually attach to your gut lining and stay? Is there a way to tell?
There is a way to tell. What we're seeing now is that it really would depend on your body already. So everyone's body is different. Mm-hmm. The way we would tell is I think we could tell in your case, we did a test before you started. Mm-hmm. And then we can do a test after. Mm-hmm. Now, if we can detect those levels of bacteria, let's say like a few weeks after you stop taking the probiotic, then that would be a sign that they survived. But, it's actually really interesting because probiotics, they don't necessarily have to survive in your gut for them to have had an effect. Mm-hmm. There's, a lot of research on just their effect as they pass through, and they may live there for a day or two or what have you and then leave. But while they're there, they maybe can help to improve some of the other levels.
No, they're like people. They're like a little colony. Some people just pass right on through your life, and that's okay. It's a good thing.
Right. Sometimes they'll decide to stay. But a big part of if they stay and, what their effect is, it's the combination of really diet, lifestyle, and introducing good bacteria.
Okay. Wow. This has been great. Well, thank you. And I do have a link that I will put in the video notes when this is on YouTube, and it's a great little discount as well. So I love this stuff. I just ordered another batch. Actually, it's coming to me soon. So
wonderful. Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, my pleasure. And of course, if you have any questions or any more questions, we're always here to answer anything. So.
And where can people find you?
So
Besides through my link.
yes, you can find us at www.gutly.co. So that's CO. And yeah, we're a small company. So if you have any questions, it's not going through a formal HR process. It's me and a few other members of the team. And then, so.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you. Bye.
Yes. Bye. See you later.